Hare Krishna, everybody. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. Right here in the live studios in Hythe, Kent, southeast England, just outside the window. Well, I can see it. It's from a distance, but I can see the English Channel. Great water, great air, and water also. All right, let us continue our journey, our swimming through the nectar ocean, river of the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur thought so highly of the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. He said these words as a poetic glorification, not to be taken literally, but poetic glorification of the relative position of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita to every other Shastra. He said, in due course, Mahapralaya, devastating floods, will inundate the entire universe. If you attempt to survive by swimming in that deluge, then do not neglect to take hold of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Or, if you cannot hold all three, then release Bhagavad Gita. If necessary, you may also relinquish Srimad Bhagavatam, but under no circumstances release your hold on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, for if this one book remains, then the flood can do no actual damage, because after it is subsided, the message of Shastra can be revived from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita alone, it being the essence of all Shastra. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda. Okay, we're in chapter 8 of Adi Leela, beginning with text 74. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is now opening his heart, the floodgates of the love that he has for the Vaishnavas and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and letting us know how it was he was inspired and empowered to write this wonderful, to compose this wonderful Chaitanya Charitamrita, the perfect scripture. Text 74. When I visited the temple of Madan Mohan, the priest, Gosai Das, was serving the feet of the Lord, and I also prayed at the Lord's lotus feet. 75. When I prayed to the Lord for permission, a garland from his neck immediately slipped down. 76. As soon as this happened, the Vaishnavas standing there all loudly chanted, Hari Bol! And Gosai Das brought me the garland and put it around my neck. 77. I was greatly pleased to have the garland signifying the order of the Lord, and then and there I commenced to write this book. 78. Actually, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita is not my writing, but the dictation of Sri Madan Mohan. My writing is like the repetition of a parrot. Purport. This should be the attitude of all devotees. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead recognizes a devotee, the Lord gives him intelligence and dictates how he may go back home, back to Godhead. This is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavad Gita 10.10. Tesham satajayuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. the opportunity to engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord is open to everyone, because every living entity is constitutionally a servant of the Lord. To engage in the service of the Lord is the natural function of a living entity. But because he is covered by the influence of Maya, the material energy, he thinks it to be a very difficult task. Well, there you have it. I think I'm going to repeat that one. To engage in the service of the Lord is the natural function of the living entity. But because he is covered by the influence of Maya, the material energy, he thinks it to be a very difficult task. But if he places himself under the guidance of a spiritual master and does everything sincerely, immediately the Lord, who is situated within everyone's heart, dictates how to serve him. Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. The Lord gives this direction, and thus the devotee's life becomes perfect. Whatever a pure devotee does is done by the dictation of the Supreme Lord. Thus it is confirmed by the author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita that whatever he wrote was written under the direction of the Sri Madan Mohan deity. Text 79. As a wooden doll is made to dance by a magician, I write as Madan Gopal orders me to do. Purport. This is the position of a pure, excuse me, sorry. This is the position of a pure devotee. One should not take any responsibility on his own, but should be a soul surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who will then give him the dictation as the Chaitya Guru, or the spiritual master within. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased to guide a devotee from within and without. From within, the Lord guides him as the super soul, and from without, he guides him as the spiritual master. Text 80. I accept my family deity, Madan Mohan. I accept as my family deity, Madan Mohan, whose worshippers are Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Rupa Goswami, and Sanatan Goswami. Text 81. I took permission from Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur by praying at his lotus feet, and having received his order, I have attempted to write this auspicious literature. Purport. Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami took permission not only from the Vaishnavas and Madan Mohan, but also from Vrindavan Das Thakur, who was understood to be the Vyas of the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. 82. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur is the authorized writer on the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Without his mercy, therefore, one cannot describe these pastimes. 83. I am foolish, low-born, and insignificant, and I always desire material enjoyment. Yet by the order of the Vaishnavas, I am greatly enthusiastic to write this transcendental literature. Sri Rupa Raghunath Charanera e Bala, Yanra Smiti Siddhi Hoy, Vanchita Sakala. The lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Raghunath Das Goswami are my source of strength. Remembering their lotus feet can fulfill all one's desires. Sri Rupa Raghunatha Pariyara Ash, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Kahi Krishna Das. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Das, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, 8th chapter, in the matter of the authors receiving the orders of the authorities, Krishna and Guru. Jai Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai. Shri Raghunath Das Goswami Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Goswami Ki Jai. Shri Sanatana Goswami Ki Jai. Madan Mohan Deity Ki Jai. Shri Govinda Ji Ki Jai. Gaur Premanandi Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Another act of the great drama of the Chaitanya Charitamrita is finished, and now we will raise the curtain on Act 9. The Desire Tree of Devotional Service, one of my all-time favorite chapters. A summary of Chapter 9 has been given as follows by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Amrita Pravaha Bhasha. In this chapter, the author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita has devised a figurative example by describing the desire tree of bhakti. He considers Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is known as Vishwambar, to be the gardener of this tree, because he is the main personality who has taken charge of it. As the supreme enjoyer, he enjoyed the fruits himself and distributed them as well. The seed of the tree was first sown in Navadvip, the birth site of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then the tree was brought to Purushottam Kshetra, Jagannath Puri, and then to Vrindavan. The seed fructified first in Srila Madhavendra Puri, and then in his disciple, Sri Ishwara Puri. It is figuratively described. It is figuratively described. It is figuratively described that both the tree itself and the trunk of the tree are Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Paramananda Puri and 8 other great sannyasis are like the spreading roots of the tree. From the main trunk there extend 2 special branches, Advaita Prabhu and Sri Nityananda Prabhu, and from those branches grow other branches and twigs. The tree surrounds the entire world, and the fruits of the tree are to be distributed to everyone. In this way, the tree of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu intoxicates the entire world. It should be noted that this is a figurative example meant to explain the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Excuse me. Text 1. Tang Srimad Krishna Chaitanya Devam Vande Jagad Gurum Yasyanu Kampaya Shwapi Mahabdim Santaret Sukham. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the spiritual master of the entire world, Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by whose mercy even a dog can swim across a great ocean. Purport. Sometimes it is to be seen that a dog can swim in the water for a few yards and then come back to the shore. Here, however, it is stated that if a dog is blessed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he can swim across an ocean. He can swim across an ocean. Similarly, the author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, placing himself in a helpless condition, states that although he has no personal power, by the desire of Lord Chaitanya, expressed through the Vaishnavas and the Madan Mohan Vigraha, it is possible for him to cross a transcendental ocean to present Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Text 2. Jai Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Gaurachandra Jaya Dvaita Jaya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Jaya Dvaita Jaya Jaya Nityananda. All glories to Sri Krishna Chaitanya, who is known as Gaur Hari. All glories to Advaita Acharya and Nityananda Prabhu. Text 3. Jaya Jaya Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Gana Sarva Bhishta Putri Hetu Yanhara Smarana. All glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya, headed by Srivas Thakur. In order to fulfill all my desires, I remember their lotus feet. Purport. The author here continues to follow the same principles of worship of the Panchatattva that were described in the 7th chapter of the Adi Lila. Text 4. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath. I also remember the 6 Goswamis, Rupa, Sanatan, Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jiva, Gopal Bhatta, and Dasa Raghunath. Purport. This is the process for writing transcendental literature. A sentimentalist who has no Vaishnava qualifications cannot produce transcendental writings. There are many fools who consider Krishna Lila to be a subject of art and who write or paint pictures about the pastimes of Lord Krishna with the gopis, sometimes depicting them in a manner practically obscene. These fools take pleasure in material sense gratification. But one who wants to make advancement in spiritual life must scrupulously avoid their literature. Unless one is a servant of Krishna and the Vaishnavas, as Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami presents himself to be in offering respects to Lord Chaitanya, his associates and his disciples, one should not attempt to write transcendental literature. Text 5. It is by the mercy of all these Vaishnavas and Gurus that I attempt to write about the pastimes and qualities of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Whether I know it or not, it is for self-purification that I write this book. Purport. This is the sum and substance of transcendental writing. One must be an authorized Vaishnava, humble and pure. One should write transcendental literature to purify oneself, not for credit. By writing about the pastimes of the Lord, one associates with the Lord directly. One should not ambitiously think, I shall become a great author, I shall be celebrated as a writer. These are material desires. One should attempt to write for self-purification. It may be published or it may not be published, but that does not matter. If one is actually sincere in writing, all his ambitions will be fulfilled. Whether one is known as a great author is incidental. One should not attempt to write transcendental literature for material name and fame. Text 6. I take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who himself is the tree of transcendental love of Krishna, its gardener, and also the bestower and enjoyer of its fruits. 7. Lord Chaitanya thought, my name is Vishwambar, one who maintains the entire universe. Its meaning will be actualized if I can fill the whole universe with love of Godhead. Text 8. Thinking in this way, he accepted the duty of a planter and began to grow a garden in Navadvip. Text 9. Thus the Lord brought the desire tree of devotional service to this earth and became its gardener. He sowed the seed and sprinkled upon it the water of his will. Purport. In many places, devotional service has been compared to a creeper. One has to sow the seed of the devotional creeper, Bhakti Lata, within his heart. As he regularly hears and chants, the seed will fructify and gradually grow into a mature plant and then produce the fruit of devotional service, namely love of Godhead, which the gardener Malakara, can then enjoy without impediments. Text 10. All glories to Sri Madhavendra Puri, the storehouse of all devotional service unto Krishna. He is a desired tree of devotional service, and it is in him that the seed of devotional service first fructified. Purport. Sri Madhavendra Puri, also known as Sri Madhava Puri, belonged to the disciplic succession from Madhvacharya and was a greatly celebrated sannyasi. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was the second disciplic descendant from Sri Madhavendra Puri. The process of worship in the disciplic succession of Madhvacharya was full of ritualistic ceremonies with hardly a sign of love of Godhead. Sri Madhavendra Puri was the first person in that disciplic succession to exhibit the symptoms of love of Godhead, and the first to write a poem beginning with the words, Ai Dina Dayadra Nath. O supremely personality of God, O supremely merciful personality of Godhead. I'll read this again. Srila Madhavendra Puri was the first person in that disciplic succession to exhibit the symptoms of love of Godhead, and the first to write a poem beginning with the words Ai Dina Dayadra Nath, O supremely merciful personality of Godhead. In that poem is the seed of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's cultivation of love of Godhead. Text 11. The seed of devotional service next fructified in the form of Sri Ishwara Puri, and then the gardener himself, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, became the main trunk of the seed of the tree of devotional service. Purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhashya, Sri Ishwara Puri was a resident of Kumarahata, where there is now a railway station known as Kamarahata. Nearby, there is another station named Hali Sahara, which belongs to the Eastern Railway. This railway runs from the eastern section of Calcutta. Ishwara Puri appeared in a Brahmana family and was the most beloved disciple of Srila Madhavendra Puri. In the last portion of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ancha 8, 28 through 31, it is stated, Ishwara Puri Goshai Kari Shri Pada Sevana Swahaste Karinamala Mutradi Marjana Nirantara Krishna Nama Karaya Smarana Krishna Nama Krishna Lila Shunaya Anukshana Tushtahaya Puri Tanre Kaila Alingana Varadila Krishna Tomara Aukta Premadana Se Haite Ishwara Puri Premera Sagara. At the last stage of his life, Madhavendra Puri became an invalid and was completely unable to move. And Ishwara Puri so completely engaged himself in his service that he personally cleaned up his stool and urine, always chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and reminding Sri Madhavendra Puri about the pastimes of Lord Krishna in the last stage of his life. Ishwara Puri gave the best service among his disciples. Thus Madhavendra Puri, being very pleased with him, blessed him, saying, My dear boy, I can only pray to Krishna that he will be pleased with you. Thus Ishwara Puri, by the grace of his spiritual master, Sri Madhavendra Puri, became a great devotee in the ocean of love of Godhead. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti states in his Guruvashtaka prayer, Yasya prasadan bhagavat prasado, Yasya prasadan nagati katopi. By the mercy of the spiritual master, one is blessed by the mercy of Krishna. Without the grace of the spiritual master, one cannot make any advancement. It is by the mercy of the spiritual master that one becomes perfect, as vividly exemplified here. A Vaishnava is always protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but if he appears to be an invalid, this gives a chance to his disciples to serve him. Ishwarapuri pleased his spiritual master by service, and by the blessings of his spiritual master, he became such a great personality that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted him as his spiritual master. Srila Ishwarapuri was the spiritual master of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but before initiating Lord Chaitanya, he went to Navadvip and lived for a few months in the house of Gopinath Acharya. At that time, Lord Chaitanya became acquainted with him, and it is understood that he served Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by reciting his book, Krishna Lilamrita. This is explained in Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Adikanda, chapter 11. To teach others by example how to be a faithful disciple of one spiritual master, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, visited the birthplace of Ishwarapuri in Kumarahata and collected some earth from his birth site. This he kept very carefully, and he used to eat a small portion of it daily. This is stated in the Chaitanya Bhagavat Adikanda, chapter 17. It has now become customary for devotees following the example of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to go there and collect some earth from that place. Text 12. By his inconceivable powers, the Lord became the gardener, the trunk, and the branches simultaneously. 13 to 15. Paramananda Puri, Keshava Bharati, Brahmananda Puri, and Brahmananda Bharati, Sri Vishnu Puri, Keshava Puri, Krishnananda Puri, Sri Nrisingha Tirtha, and Sukhananda Puri. These 9 sannyasi roots all sprouted from the trunk of the tree. Thus the tree stood steadfastly on the strength of these 9 roots. Purport. Paramananda Puri. Paramananda Puri belonged to a Brahmana family of the Trihut district in Uttar Pradesh. Madhavendra Puri was his spiritual master. In relationship with Madhavendra Puri, Paramananda Puri was very dear to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Anta 10, 46 to 49 and 42, there is the following statement. Sannyasira madhye Ishwarera priya patra ara nahi eka puri gosai e matra. Damodara Swarupa Paramananda Puri Sannyasi Parashade Edvi Adhikari Nirabhari Nikati Takena Dvi Jana Prabhora Sannyase Kare Dandera Grahana Puri Jnana Para Damodarera Kirtan Yata Priti Ishwarera Puri Goshanide Damodara Saruperero Tata Priti Kare. Among his sannyasi disciples, Ishwara Puri and Paramananda Puri were very dear to Madhavendra Puri. Thus, Paramananda Puri, like Sarup Damodar, who was also a sannyasi, was very dear to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and was his constant associate. When Lord Chaitanya accepted the renounced order, Paramananda Puri offered him the danda. Paramananda Puri was also engaged in meditation, and Sri Sarup was always engaged in chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offered full respect to his spiritual master Ishwara Puri, he similarly respected Paramananda Puri and Sarup Damodar. It is described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Pancha 3, 171 and 172, that when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first saw Paramananda Puri, he made the following statement: Aji Danya Lochana Sapala Aji Janma Sapala Amara Aji Hoila Sarvadharma. Prabhu Bole, Aji Mora Sapala Sanyas Aji Madhavendra More Haila Prakash. My eyes, my mind, my religious activities, and my acceptance of the sannyas order have now all become perfect, because today Madhavendra Puri is manifest before me in the form of Paramananda Puri. The Chaitanya Bhagavat, Ancha 3, 175 further states, Katat Chani Anyo Nye Karena Pranama Paramananda Puri Chaitanyara Priyadama. Thus Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exchanged respectful obeisances with Paramananda Puri, who was very dear to him. Paramananda Puri established a small monastery behind the western side of the Jagannath temple, where he had a well dug to supply water. The water, however, was bitter, and therefore Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu prayed to Lord Jagannath to allow Ganges water to come into the well to make it sweet. When Lord Jagannath granted the request, Lord Chaitanya told all the devotees that from that day hence, the water of Paramananda Puri's well should be celebrated as Ganges water, for any devotee who would drink or bathe in it would certainly get the same benefit as that derived from drinking or bathing in the waters of the Ganges. Such a person would certainly develop pure love of Godhead. It is stated in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Ancha 3, 255, Prabhu Bali Ami ye achya pritibite nishchaya injaniha puri goshanira prite. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to say, I am living in this world only on the account of the excellent behavior of Sri Paramananda Puri. The Gora Ganodesha Deepika 118 states, Puri Sri Paramanando ya asid Uddhava Pura. Paramananda Puri is none other than Uddhava. Uddhava was Lord Krishna's friend and cousin, and in Chaitanya Leela, the same Uddhava became the friend of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his uncle in terms of their relationship in the disciplic succession. Keshava Bharati. The Saraswati, Bharati, and Puri Sampradayas belong to the Sringeri Math in South India, and Sri Keshava Bharati, who at that time was situated in a monastery in Katwa, belonged to the Bharati Sampradaya. According to some authoritative opinions, although Keshava Bharati belonged to the Shankar Sampradaya, he had formerly been initiated by a Vaishnava. He is said to have been a Vaishnava on account of having been initiated by Madhavendra Puri. For some say that he took sannyas from Madhavendra Puri. The temple and deity worship started by Keshava Bharati are still existing in the village known as Katundi, which is under the postal jurisdiction of Kandara, in the district of Burdwan. According to the managers of that math, the priests are descendants of Keshava Bharati. In his householder life, he had two sons, Nishapati and Ushapati, and a Brahman of the name Sri Kakadichandra Vidyaratna, who was a member of the family of Nishapati, was the priest in charge at the time of Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. I'm sorry. Let me read that last sentence again. In his householder life, he had two sons, Nishapati and Ushapati, and a Brahmana of the name Sri Kakadichandra Vidyaratna, who was a member of the family of Nishapati, was the priest in charge at the time that Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati visited this temple. According to some, The priests of the temple belonged to the family of Keshava Bharati's brother. Still another opinion is that they descend from Madhava Bharati, who was a disciple of Keshava Bharati's. Madhava Bharati's disciple Balabhadra, who also later became a sannyasi of the Bharati Sampradaya, had two sons in his family life named Madana and Gopal. Madana, whose family surname was Bharati, lived in the village of Aurya, and Gopal, whose family surname was Brahmachari, lived in the village of Denduda. There are still many living descendants of both families. In Gaura Ganodesha Dipika 52 it is said, Mathurayam Yagya Sutram Pura Krishnaya Yomuni Dadau Sandipani Sobhud Adya Keshava Bharati. Sandipani Muni, who formerly offered the sacred thread to Krishna and Balarama, later became Keshava Bharati. It is he who offered sannyas to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There is another statement about Keshava Bharati from the Gaura Ganodesh Dipika 117. Iti kechit prapasante krura Keshava Bharati. According to some authoritative opinions, Keshava Bharati is an incarnation of Akrura. Keshava Bharati offered the sannyas order to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the year 1432, Shakabda, AD 1510, in Katwa. This is stated in the Vaishnava Manjusha, Part 2. Brahmananda Puri. Brahmananda Puri was one of the associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu while he was performing kirtan in Navadvip, and he also joined Lord Chaitanya in Jagannath Puri. We may note in this connection that the name Brahmananda is accepted not only by Mayavadi sannyasis, but by Vaishnava sannyasis also. One of our foolish godbrothers criticized our sannyasi Brahmananda Swami, saying that this was a Mayavadi name. The foolish man did not know that Brahmananda does not always refer to the impersonal Brahman. Para-Brahman, the supreme Brahman, is Krishna. A devotee of Krishna can also be called Brahmananda. This is evident from the fact that Brahmananda Puri was one of the chief sannyasi associates of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Brahmananda Bharati. Brahmananda Bharati went to see Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Jagannath Dham. At that time he used to wear only a deer skin to cover himself, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu indirectly indicated that he did not like this deer skin covering. Brahmananda Bharati therefore gave it up and accepted a loincloth of saffron color as used by Vaishnava sannyasis. For some time he lived with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Jagannath Puri. Text 16. With the sober and grave Paramananda Puri as the central root and the 8 other roots in the 8 directions, the tree of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stood firmly. And I'm going to stop here. Hare Krishna. So we're just beginning this classic, ecstatic description of Lord Chaitanya's tree of bhakti, how it grew and where all the branches and leaves and fruits came. Hare Krishna. Okay, time for reflections, comments, discussion, further discussion. Hare Krishna. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda.
Rati Manjari?
Yes, Rati Manjari.
She says, Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my respectful obeisances.
Hare Krishna.
Tonight we heard many nice things. I would like to offer a few reflections. I liked how Srila Prabhupada was writing so powerfully and purely about the nature of transcendental writing, how one should not write with a desire to become a great author, but for self-purification only.
Yes. Keep churning it. She said a few reflections. That's just one of them. Very nice, Rati. That was very wonderful.
She says, surely Srila Prabhupada is a most prolific author.
Yes, most prolific. And like Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he never showed it, but he was going through all kinds of physical calamities inside while he was doing all this incredible work, traveling all over the world in airplanes and things that the sannyasis in those days that are being talked about here couldn't imagine, couldn't even dream of. People didn't even in the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they couldn't understand that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prediction that the movement would spread all over the world, that meant all over the world, all over the globe, all over the whole Earth planet. And therefore none of them even thought practically to go out. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur had sent a book to the West, and he had this ambition, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also began meeting scholars from the West and impressing them greatly with his erudition and his transcendental writing. So yes, transcendental writing, Prabhupada's books, we should kind of, I think we would do well to hone in on this point about, the basics of Srila Prabhupada's movement being his transcendental literatures, and how he empowered his disciples to edit them nicely and produce them in such pleasing format that he oversaw that, yes, the movement spread as a result of the mass distribution of these books, no doubt. You ask any devotee, you became a devotee, any connection with the books, and everybody will raise their hands. There may be some rare exceptions, but the vast majority came through coming in contact with Srila Prabhupada's books. I know I am one of them. I was living on top of a mountain, and by two separate sources, without me asking, I had my little library of spiritual books, and I was kind of a I don't know, false renunciate kind of person, pseudo spiritualists, as there were many of us in those days. But when I got these two books and realized after I touched them that they were from the same author, I just woke up. What can I say? And I never looked back from that moment. That was 48 years ago. So these books are not ordinary. And my whole life has been dedicated to reading them and distributing them. And now, to do these audiobooks is my whole life and soul. Everyone will just have to tolerate. Once I get through this, phase of my life where I'll have these surgeries to maybe hopefully fix my hips so that I can live more free from pain. And we have some plans. We will reveal those before long. And I can live long enough with enough power both material and spiritual, to record the major works of Srila Prabhupada in the form of audio books. This is publication of his books in a form that they have not been published before, not officially. These are the official BBT audiobooks of Srila Prabhupada's major works. We'll begin with Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is mainly recorded. Now it's being edited by Rasika Shiromani, and he's doing a wonderful job. I've played some samples, and I'm getting, I'm getting another chapter every 3 or 4 days. I get a chapter, a new chapter. So it's going on, and then hopefully we'll meet together again before long, and clean up the final dub-ins that need to be done, and hopefully publish it by end of this year and next year. Of course, with the COVID pandemic, we don't know how much longer it's going to take or what the complications might be, but we will find a way. I was talking to Vaisheshika Prabhu yesterday, and he's very fired up, and he's saying this is the next wave, because people need to hear, they want to hear, they like to hear. Harder for them to read in a regular book way, but they can hear, and these audiobooks will be of highest quality possible. And then when I finish with this phase I'm going through now, I plan to do the Bhagavad Gita full, and then Krishna book, then the Srimad Bhagavatam complete, and then after that, Brihad Bhagavatamrita. I already recorded it, but unfortunately one of the volumes was lost because of a crashed hard drive, and but I also was not so unhappy because I can read a lot better now than I did then when I first recorded them back in 2006 and 7, and also we will have very nice professional equipment to use in Krishna service very soon, and so that's a little preview of coming attractions. So yes, these books they're liquid nectar. They're Prabhupada's ecstasies, and the combined devotional service of all of his sincere devotees who worked so hard to make them into what they are. And Prabhupada glorified them. At the end of the book, we'll read how he feels about that, concluding words of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So thank you very much for that realization. Next.
The rest of Rati Manjari's reflections came in.
Yeah.
So next is, I also like to hear how Srila Prabhupada personally defended his dear disciple Brahmananda Swami by clarifying the nature of his name.
Yes.
That it also refers to one of the prominent sannyasi disciples of Lord Chaitanya.
Yes.
And how he was even willing to criticize his godbrother to defend his spiritual son.
Yes. He was loyal to us as we are loyal to him. As loyal as you are to him, he will be that loyal to you. Hare Krishna. And by that potency, we can be successful in devotional life. What else?
Says, I love to hear about the disciple who collected dust of the birthplace of his spiritual master and ate a little bit of it every day. And of course it is special.
Who was that?
Lord Chaitanya.
Who was that, Rati? The disciple? That was Lord Chaitanya, the perfect disciple, taking the dust from the place of his spiritual master's disappearance place and eating a little dust every day. Yes. Lord Chaitanya, the perfect disciple, the perfect guru, the perfect sannyasi, the perfect Vaishnava, doing all those things completely perfectly to show us how to do it properly.
And of course it is special for me, and I dare say for us all, to hear about the personality of Keshava Bharati Goswami.
Hare Krishna, I pass on that. But he was very special. The Chaitanya Bhagavat shows how actually before Lord Chaitanya received the mantra from Keshava Bharati, he said the holy name into the ear of Keshava Bharati. So in effect, he initiated him before he gave him sannyas, or gave him the mantra before he got the mantra. So that's wonderful pastime. Yes.
She says, we, your grateful hearers, pray with all sincerity to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that you will be able to perform all the devotional service to Srila Prabhupada that your heart desires, especially in the matter of recording the audio versions of the Liquid Nectar books.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. That's just music to my ears. That's what I need. I mean, even though I have youthful energy left, and even people who talk to me over the phone, they say, you can't be that old. Even one of the nurses that called me up said, you can't be that old. What are you, playing a game or something? But anyway, she found out that I was that old. But it makes it a little difficult for me to go into old age and adjust to be an old man. It's very difficult for me. So I need all the mercy I can get from the devotees. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Something from Sudevi Dasi.
Hare Krishna, Sudevi.
Says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Chapter 9, Text 1. It says, a dog can swim across an ocean by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I know it was figuratively in that context. By the mercy of Vaishnavas and Krishna, we can be empowered to do things we think impossible. I really like that fact because I do feel helpless in my aging, feeble memory. Also, speaking of the dog, it reminds me to ask if it's true that a dog can go back home if it dies hearing the Maha Mantra, or take a human birth next life by eating prasadam.
Yeah, it's not absolute. Depends on their qualifications and so many things. But yes, it is possible. It's a special experience that gives the dog a relation, an opportunity to do that, because they'll have, like when Shivananda Sen, he was going to Jagannath Puri, and a dog started following the party, and Shivananda Sen was taking care of the whole party, and the dog developed an attachment to the devotees, and he developed an attachment for the dog. So I just read about this in Anchalila, first chapter. And so he kept the dog, and he had the dog fed by the devotees every day. And one day he was off getting paying the tolls to get out across the rivers and things like that, and they forgot to feed the dog. And when he came back, he said, "Where's the dog?" And he said, "Oh, he left because somehow or other he just didn't get fed on time or something." And he sent 10 men out to look for him. So they couldn't find him, so he was greatly unhappy. They went on to Puri, and when they got there, they saw that dog sitting next to Lord Chaitanya or in the nearby, and Lord Chaitanya was putting green coconut, pulp, throwing it to him, and he was catching it, and he was asking him to chant Hare Krishna. The dog was chanting Hare Krishna. And then the next day, the dog disappeared, and it's supposed that he went back to Godhead, spiritual body. So it's possible, by the mercy of the Vaishnavas and the Supreme Lord, anything can happen. It's not a normal thing, but it is possible, yes.
Next is from Amrita Vilasini Devi Dasi.
Amrita Vilasini, Hare Krishna.
She says, Dear Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Please stay healthy and hope your hip will recover speedy.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Sudevi Dasi has another comment. She says, my daughter has a little dog who lays down next to my laptop as soon as your voice comes on. No kidding. She knows what it means when I say Maharaj is coming on.
Hare Krishna, thanks. That's sweet. You all are making my life very, very pleasing. Thank you.
There's a comment from Christopher Lyons.
Christopher Lyons.
He says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, I am blessed to be tuned in with you today. Thank you for your most wonderful service. I have enjoyed your words immensely.
Thank you so much. The pleasure is all mine, because if it weren't for you, I wouldn't be doing this service. Hare Krishna. Okay, I'll stop now. I have a couple of important things to do and maybe one or two phone calls to take. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm always enlivened when I'm with you, and it's making my life worthwhile and giving me unlimited inspiration to dedicate the rest of my life kind of in a legacy mood, to leave these transcendental literatures in the audio book form, first time, in a way that's done very nicely so that the devotees can hear and relish. So I thank you all for your empowerment. Thank you. I feel very inspired, and I'm determined to do that, exactly that, however long it takes. Jai. Thank you so much. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Gop Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. See you tomorrow, same time, same place. Hare Krishna.